They mad at Tarantino today, and we're going to talk about why. Truthpaste, Quentin Tarantino opens his mouth and people are not happy. Let's go. Quentin Tarantino says that he has faced more criticism based on his skin tone than any other director that's out. And I personally would agree, but dude, you made Django Unchained. Like, what'd you expect the reaction was going to be? All roses? Not saying it's right, it's unfair. I like Django Unchained. I'm a fan of Quentin Tarantino's movies, but dude, you had to expect this reaction when you made this film. Because to the black community, this is a white man telling the story of slavery from the perspective of a freed slave. Like, come on, Tarantino, really? I think that's what really the basis of all this is that, that's the criticism. You're telling the story that you've never lived and don't know. Like, let's think about it. Imagine if Spike Lee made a movie about the Holocaust, from the perspective of a Jew that escaped. You know he's going to catch some flack for that. And that's essentially what went on here. I mean, you had a white man depicting what's going on with black people, and black people were like, nah, we don't like that. And to his point, Tarantino was catching hell way before the movie even released. When people heard about this movie being made, they were all skeptical about it, and I get it. Because you're telling the story of one of the biggest black eyes that this country has ever had, no pun intended, and you've got a huge responsibility, Quentin. At the same time, he gets to create whatever he wants to create. We can be critical of it, but he should still be able to do it if he wants to. Here's what I think it boils down to, and it's that there's this level of entitlement for different groups that they are the only ones allowed to tell their side of the story on behalf of them. For example, I've got two cousins I consider sisters. They're both gay, but because I'm a straight male, I really can't speak on behalf of them, can I? I grew up with these girls. I know their exes, their current girlfriends. Because I'm straight, the gay community could potentially be like, nah, you can't speak on this topic. Okay, cool. But if I'm an artist, why can't I depict my voice and perspective on the topic through my art form? I looked at Django Unchained as Quentin Tarantino's artistic expression of his depiction of slavery. Some things were accurate, sure. Do I think other things were cinematic? Absolutely. But that doesn't mean that the whole thing is wrong. Like, I'll just take bits and pieces from it. Truth be told, I don't even know why us black folks are so angry. We always ready for the comeback. Django dropped and then came 12 Years a Slave. That was for us. I find it interesting that even with art, we still find ourselves trapped in these categories that somehow have been created for us, and we believe that shit. Quentin Tarantino's skin was blue. Do you think we'd still be coming at him the same way that we are today? Of course we are. We're going to do it the same way that we do race. This nigga's an alien. You can't talk about human stuff because you're not human. Leave it alone. But let Alien Tarantino drop Michael Untied and people are going to be like, that's an inaccurate depiction of human beings. I'm not fucking with it. Truth be told, Django's out here killing white folks in that movie. If anything, that should be uplifting for us if you're really upset about the depiction of slaves. Part I think Tarantino is missing in all of this is that when you're going to decide to make a movie like that, you've inherited a level of responsibility. Because in the past, our art forms have been stolen and appropriated, so when you do something like this, we're like, all right, here's your opportunity. Don't fuck up. Quentin, not expecting to get any criticism from black people when you're making this movie is absolutely ridiculous, bro. And honestly, when you cry about it to the black critics, we really don't care because now you just sound like a white person with privilege. Because it comes off as, I want the freedom to make a movie about slavery, but I don't want the people who went through slavery to give me any kind of criticism. And when you call the critics savages, that doesn't help either, because you know that was a term used to describe black men back in the day. Come on, man. But at the same time, if the critics can be critical of Quentin Tarantino, why can't Quentin Tarantino be critical of the critics themselves, right? Because when you really strip it down, you're human, I'm human, you're a critic, I'm a director. Who really gives a shit? If you don't like my art form, cool. You don't have to. You can be critical of it. And then if I want, I can be critical of your criticism. That doesn't mean I should stop making movies. And that doesn't mean you should stop being critical of movies. All that means is we both need to just check ourselves. That's really all this is turned into, is a moment for us to just check each other. Critics need to check their level of objectivity. And Quentin, you need to check your perspective, bro. And that's the problem today, is that no one wants to do anything after they get checked. They just want to respond in a defensive manner to the criticism. And ultimately, we're just going to keep going around in a fucking circle trying to prove who's wrong and who's right, not getting shit done in the matter. Don't get me wrong, I love that the whistle is getting blown more often these days, but something needs to happen after the whistle gets blown, y'all. Because you know, if you have a kid who's doing something they're not supposed to be doing, you tell them, hey, don't do that. You don't explain to them why. You know what they're going to do? They're just going to keep doing that shit over and over until you tell them why. Somebody's got to tell them why. Brush up.